Hi and welcome to the Studio Scoop. You're here with me at Studio 138. I am G. I'm going to be exploring Dubbo's creative underground as well as interviewing a few creative voices from within our community. Be sure to stay up to date with all of our latest videos and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. Now I'm here today with a very creatively involved person in our community, Camilla Ward. How are you?
I'm very well, Georgie. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being on here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What are your interests, your hobbies, your passions?
Okay, where do we start? Well, I'd have to say, interests, love psychological thrillers, serial killers. I know. It's one of those things, being a trained primary teacher, which I am. My husband would always find amazing that I could be teaching children and doing music and drama in the daytime and go home and read about, say, John Gacy or somebody like that.
Wow. I'm a bit the same though. I'm a freak for horror and thriller. Yeah, absolutely. So any hobby, any passions?
Look, passions at the moment, loving strong female playwrights and screenwriters at the moment. I've always been a sucker for BBC drama, our ABC dramas here. We've got such great writers, and especially women writers. I'm really, maybe because I'm getting closer to 50, that might be the reason why I'm sort of drawn to more family psychological thrillers and people at different stages of their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any interesting facts about yourself that you can share with us?
Look, I suppose I love the fact that I have had the opportunity to travel around the world. I've had the opportunity to work overseas in theatre and teaching overseas. Yeah. So really interesting, I think, is a relative term, but
absolutely, yeah. Well, that's an interesting point of view.
Yeah, thank you.
So, what other interests do you have?
Okay, well. Music.
Music, yes.
Very much a mood music person. So today, if you said to me, what's my favourite?
What's your favourite genre?
Okay, today, 1990s boy bands.
Wow.
Yes. I know I go through stages, like it's my wedding anniversary today. So I made my husband a mixtape / playlist.
Yep.
And just revisiting all the different eras of music, I love it. So it's very much... However, like winter, I love listening to jazz. I love listening to all those sorts of things.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think, that's my thing. I've always got music on, always love listening to music. And there's really no genre that I don't like.
Yeah, absolutely. It gets you in that creative mind, doesn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, that's what I love.
So you have created a few local theatre companies or done a few local theatre things that have been the main focus of primary, secondary kids who have an interest in the performing arts. What would you say is the most challenging and rewarding part of creating those theatre groups?
Firstly, I think whenever you're creating something, it's about collaboration. So I couldn't do it on my own. I was very fortunate to be able to have my own studio first, as well as teaching. So I got to know the community when I moved here, 15, 16 years ago now. Wow. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? So, yes, to me, the most challenging thing has just been to find a way forward when you're creating something. And again, it's all about collaboration. I've been so fortunate to have, Andrew Glassop, who worked at the Cultural Centre. He was very much the driver of wanting to have youth theatre. And then we went on and created Black Box Creatives, which I'm very proud of, that is still running now. And we also were in that wonderful production Brainstorm, which was all about, the neurology of the teenage brain. So being able to do different things in our environment. And I think it's always hard when you're coming in to do something new. It's not selling an idea to the community, but it's about taking a risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I was just so fortunate. Yes, it was challenging, but it was also rewarding to have people come on board with me and go, yes, let's do this.
Yeah.
So when we started the musical theatre at the Conservatorium, so Vivian Winter was, very supportive, could see that need. And so Raylene Byrne and myself, we came on board with that, and that's still going. So to me, what my, I suppose, ultimate goal is for everyone to be creative, but also, it sounds weird, but to do myself out of a job.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm very passionate about starting new projects or starting new programs, but to me, it has to have longevity.
Yeah.
And it's not about me.
Yeah.
I know that sounds a bit, but it's not. It's about, will the program stand on its own? And it needs to evolve. So we've got, Andy Carolyn, who's now the creative director at Black Box Creatives, and he's doing amazing things. We wanted youth to create their own work to tell their story, which is what they're doing. And same with the musical theatre program at the Conservatorium. We've got Danielle Andrews, who's come in as well with Raylene. And so it's going to be something that will keep, I hope, just growing and evolving. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing. Another challenge is to let things go.
Yes. And
to know when it's time that you've done as much as you can in your capacity and you can and support, but when you know it's time to move on and allow somebody else to continue that program or however it's going to evolve.
And the rewarding part of that?
Oh, well, basically what I said as well. I think everything is contrast.
Yes.
It can be the most challenging and gut-wrenching. Yep. But if you don't have that, then you don't have that. That sense of just achievement.
Yes.
And to me, achievement means when you see what happens on the stage, when you talk to, our youth and when they're performing and the joy in their eyes and the fact that I'm now doing this, or I'm going to start this, or I'm doing a theatre degree, all those sorts of things. To me, that is success, because when you get to that stage, initially, of course, there's always ego involved, and it's wonderful when they say, you've done this, but to me, it's a long-term thing. Yeah. And the fact that it will continue to foster and we've got such an amazing collaborative community, here at Studio 138, Wesley Players, Dubbo Drama Club, Theatre Club, it's all of us together. And I'm really loving the fact that we're all coming together now. Yeah.
What is Black Box Creatives? For those who do not know, or the viewers who are not familiar with Black Box, what is it?
Okay. So Black Box Creatives was an initiative by Dubbo Council, specifically through the Western Plains Cultural Centre. So at the time, it was founded in 2016.
Okay, yep.
And Andrew Glassop came as director at that time at the Cultural Centre, saw the need. He had already previously had worked with council and with the New South Wales government to get the space, the Black Box Theatre space, which is available to anybody. It's an amazing sort of 60 to 70 seat theatre. Yeah. From that we sort of thought we needed a youth theatre company that was telling original stories. Yeah. So by our youth, for our youth and the community. So we started with Be the Change, Tell Your Story. And I think it's evolved from that. And now, as I said, Andy Carolyn is the creative director, and he's taking it and he's just building on and creating amazing opportunities for our regional youth. So it's just going from strength to strength. But if anyone's interested in that, contact the Western Plains Cultural Centre, and there's a Facebook page for Black Box Creatives.
Exactly. So go and visit them. We'll leave a link in the description so you can go and check those out. Would you say Black Box has evolved dramatically, or would you say it's sort of kept that level ground?
It's interesting because I still think we're in the early stages.
Yes.
So we're 2020 now. It started in 2016. It's building because things like this, it's you're in it for the long term. Yeah. So I think that every year skills develop. I mean, playwriting skills in itself is a craft that has to be learned and has to be adapted and evolved. So I just think it is going from strength to strength. I mean, it's very difficult. This year has been so difficult for everybody in the arts. And I'm just so incredibly amazed with how people are adapting, like Studio 138 doing the online streaming. Yes. Everybody is now just being so creative and finding different ways of expressing their creativity through the arts. Yeah,
and through platforms as well, such as YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, as you were saying.
Absolutely. So it is evolving, and I think it can only get better. And now I believe that we've got much more support within our community. Yes. We've also got, obviously state government have supported Arana Arts, which is fantastic.
Which is great.
So they've now got Not Another Dress Rehearsal, which is another wonderful opportunity for 14 to 19-year-olds. It's okay because I think it's wonderful. I mean, you've got Dubbo Drama Club. You've got all these different outlets. For when I first came here, there weren't as many, because not that there wasn't the talent here and there wasn't, I just think our community is changing and evolving, and people are seeing the importance of the arts. Yeah. And for everybody. It's not just an elitist thing. Everybody is creative.
Yeah, exactly.
Though some beg to differ. People still say to me, I'm not creative. And I go, you are.
Everyone is. Everyone has that little spark in them, really.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be on the stage, but, there's all different ways that you can do it.
So how did the decision to create Black Box, all those theatre groups, come about? How did that start?
Look, I think for me, I've always had an idea about supporting and promoting the arts.
Yes.
And I've always loved working with children and youth. So to me, it was a natural progression. Yeah. I saw that, and not just myself, but we were all, the community was talking about different opportunities and avenues that we needed for our youth. And I think the best way is to be able to do it at some stage through like the conservatorium or the council, or so that it's something that has longevity. Because that's the hardest thing, as we know in the arts, supporting ourselves. And to me, it was very important that if we were to instigate and create these programs, that it was going to be able to be supported and sustained.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we know, look, I mean, you and I could talk about it forever about the benefits of the arts and, mental health, teamwork, collaboration, being able to being able to conduct an interview. Yes. Being able to look people in the eye. I still believe all those perceived old-fashioned elocution techniques, they are still just as, if not even more, needed today.
And it teaches you the morals as well of human connection, which is a huge thing in the arts, which is obviously evident through what you do.
Exactly. And risk-taking.
Yes.
I just think nowadays, you really are brave when you put yourself out there and do something. Yeah. And I think the younger you can do that, the better. Because once you can work with those fears and insecurities and still go, okay, I'm feeling like this, but I can still do this. Yeah. It just, I just think the self-esteem, confidence, everything.
So who would you say, so a lot of people will have big influences in their life, like their mum, their dad, anyone really. Who was your biggest influence?
I was thinking about this question.
Yeah.
It's really hard because obviously, for me, I basically grew up in a female-dominated household because my father passed away when I was a child. So my mother ran the property, and there was my brother and myself. So she was very strong, and she had been a professional musician in her previous life. Wow. So to have her as a guide was just amazing. She'd take me around to all the Eisteddfods. I had the suitcase. Nice. And as I grew up, I obviously would look to different actors and playwrights. I think John Bell has really, I was very fortunate to meet him and work with his daughter, Hilary. She came and did playwriting workshops with Black Box Creatives. So, I mean, I find it really hard just to narrow it down because to me, I find, sounds like a cliche, but I'm inspired all the time. Yeah. And actually, the older I get, I'm more inspired by younger people.
Wow.
Because I see they don't have that preconceived notion or maybe sometimes cynicism that as we get older that we have. And I just love that freshness that the youth and children bring to my life when I'm working with them. So, I'd have to say there's not one person, but I've had lots of very strong female role models in my life.
And that makes your character more strong, I guess, as well.
Well, I think you can look, to know that someone has been through something similar.
Yes.
And I think especially in the arts, there's lots of highs and lots of lows. And being able to, what is perceived as failure, really is just an emotion. And so it's not an end result. So to look at those people that I admire and how they've worked through and what skills have you used. Yeah. And hopefully, passing that on and workshopping that in the classes. I think, life skills is so essential now with everything that's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. So for someone like yourself who is passionate about the arts and performing arts, what would you say the performing arts means to you?
Wow. That is, it's everything.
Yeah.
I've turned my back on it a few times in life, and I've realised that without it, you often have to let something go or go down a different path to actually realise what your path is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because every time I thought that, no, I'll do something else, I'll go in a different career and I just kept being drawn back into the art.
Yeah.
So for me, it's life, it's creativity, and it's my own path.
Yeah.
And I think for everybody, that's what I love about the arts, it's your own path. You can look to others as influencers and mentors. At the end of the day, the exciting thing is it's your journey.
Yeah.
And it's what you make it. And I just love the fact that at the end of the day, once I've performed or I've worked with children, or like it's that sense, I know it sounds cliche, but it's that sense of you really feel like you're alive and that you've made a difference, and that is like the ripple effect.
Yeah.
You know, you're raising the vibration if you talk New Age talk. But it is, to me, it's raising that vibration and to be able to explore your emotions.
So what advice would you give to younger performing artists who are they aspire to be someone who either makes theatre groups or is out there more, is famous, maybe not so famous, they just want to pursue a career in the performing arts? What advice would you give to them?
Get involved.
Yeah.
Absolutely. At a local level, wherever they are, get involved. Say yes.
Yeah.
Because you never know. This is what I love. Every single path is different, as you know yourself.
Yeah.
People can tell you how to get to a certain stage. I definitely believe working on your craft, skills, and being a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
I think, and I know that sounds a bit, you know, like I'm not taking it seriously, but you really do. I think it's not just if you want to be in front of the camera, you need to know what's going on behind the camera or behind the stage, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, you really need to have that experience because then you can get a more holistic look at and really develop.
Get that perspective
Yeah,
as well. Yeah,
absolutely. So I just say, you know, get involved.
Yes.
And you can read as much as you like, and it's wonderful, and I think it's good to have the theory, but you have to then do it.
Experience.
Experience, and don't be discouraged.
Yeah.
We all go through those periods of time where we go, what am I doing? Nothing is happening.
Yeah.
But I think that's when you need to really look around you and say, your opportunity never looks like you think it's going to look. And before you know it, it's like you're a cast member in a short film that now is award winning.
Yeah. Barely.
And
it was very small, but yeah, it was a huge opportunity. And like you said, it is experience. I have worked behind the camera as well, and so have you. You've worked behind sets, you've created black box creatives, you've been the director, you've also been the actor. You've got that experience in both parts. You've got that double perspective, which I find is absolutely amazing and inspiring.
Well, thank you. I think it's just, you've just got to do it.
Yes.
And you are going to learn all the time. And I think that you learn the biggest from often the most challenging productions.
Yes.
There's one production we did called The Game at Black Box Creatives. And it was just everything that went wrong possibly could. Yeah. But what a basis for learning those skills of being able to improv, to think on the go, and at the end of the day, to laugh and say, my God, what did we learn? Because you often learn more with the challenges than you do when things are going really well.
Absolutely. Laugh at your failures.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Sometimes it takes a little while.
Oh yeah.
You don't feel like laughing straight away. But you know that time will come.
You'll cry first and then you'll laugh.
Yes. And that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
And it's okay to feel that sense of, oh my God, it's not working, I'm not good enough, whatever. I always say, have your pity party and then get on with it.
Yeah.
I have to tell that to myself too.
So, for the viewers, what do you wish for them to take away from this interview?
I think at the end of the day, they will take away whatever perspective that they have seen through this. My hope is that people will go, I'm creative. We're all creative. And I think there's no one set path for a start. Yeah. You can look at how others did it, but at the end of the day, you are you, you're authentic. And what you have counts, because all of us bring our individuality. I know it sounds like I'm giving a teachable moment, but I am a teacher and a mother. So, but I really do think that. And also collaborate.
Yeah.
Build your network of people, because you never know. Choose kind.
Yeah.
People remember you on the set. They remember you fit. Yeah. So be yourself. And look, if you stuff up, you just say, I stuffed up.
Yep.
But you show up.
Yes.
So I really think it's just back to those human qualities again. And yeah, just say yes. You know, something's happening in your community and you think, oh, I'm not sure. Have a go. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Really. And you just don't know where it's going to lead.
Yeah.
So, and often the arts is such a great basis for going off into whatever and giving you that confidence to go into whatever area of your life you're going to go into.
Yeah. And you're always going to get connections as well.
Absolutely.
Get friendships and
lifelong, and people, you know, because we've known each other for a long time now.
Yes, a very long time.
In very different relationships. So
yes.
I just think it's such a rewarding community to be part of.
Yeah.
And support your local community. Go and see live shows. Go and support, you know, we've got wonderful SOMAD here, which is, you know, local musicians. And I mean, I could go on forever with all the visual arts and the creative assembly, but, you know, go and support because that's, you know, if you feel that, you know, see what others are doing. And don't be afraid to say, hey, I've got an idea.
Yeah.
Because you do not know where it will lead you. That's the exciting thing.
Yes.
Slightly terrifying, but also exciting.
Terrifying, yeah. So, well, thank you, Camilla Ward, for joining us here at Studio 138. It has been great chatting to you and getting to know you a bit better. If you have any questions or comments, please email us. It'll also be in the description below. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube as well. Please subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, and make sure to keep up to date with all of our latest videos. You never know what's going to pop up. I understand Mud Flappers has just done their small space gig, which I am really keen to watch. Stay safe, have a good one, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
G is out.